Welcome to session number 48 on a computer network is concerned. As we reached from 47 till 47, you people have understood a lot of technical aspects in a computer network. We have one more very simple, very the small session on computer network. So here we are going to deal with whatever the protocol that we understood, whatever the protocol that we understood. The same thing that we are going to elaborate, we call as a TCP/IP protocol. In this protocol that we are going to deal with how the various configuration and various elements are involved in handling TCP/IP configuration. Well, now there may be one big question as per the university norms of TCP/IP plays an important role in identifying the various instructional procedures in controlling the protocol system. So that's what I said that here we are going to study the different aspects of how the TCP/IP protocol will enhance the functionality and the implementation part of TCP/IP in a nature. Okay, we'll move on to the next important discussion here is what is a transmission control protocol. As if you look into an RFC 768 or the host requirement of RFC 1122, these are the some standard from the IEEE consortium that deals with each request that is being generated. It has to be get transfer or transmit, provided that transmission channel has to be well defined, and these transmission of well defined, all these possibilities has to be encountered in the form of a data transmission. And reliably what happens here is when many number of n channel inputs has to be streamed, we have to take an accountability of how these RFC and other requirements will enable us to do a transmission control without hesitation. Reliable streams transport. What do you mean by the reliable stream transport? The word itself is a clearly indicative of reliability in the sense without losing the confidentiality in the data transmission. So reliable in the sense without seamless, without disturbances, without interruption. It's a responsibility of a protocol to handle in a broader way of transmission process. So we know that there's a different circuitry methods that we have studied. In that, one of the important thing is connection oriented. This means that full duplex virtual circuit. Now, conceptually, when we say it is a full duplex, we need to understand there is a separate channel for each transmission. Providing a separate channel for transmission does not yield any result unless we take accountability in the transmission. Now, when this particular transmission has in number of opportunistic way to handle, then these number of process has to be encountered very methodologically. So this means that when one particular data stream, so either in forwarding or in a receiving, we have to ensure that it is not getting an interrupted, not overlapping in any situational process. That is a very important here. That particular process we have to ensure by using a virtual circuit. Now in full duplex, one of the important thing here is when we connect to a system, the system has to place in a dynamically to ensure that full duplex is happening without any additional turbulences or without any additional what you call the noise level or without any disturbances. Now these connection process, especially in a full duplex or the virtual circuit, we have to ensure the certain parameters, and these parameters are indicative in nature. Conceptually, place, call, two ends communicating to agree the details. When we say and agree the terms of conditions, here is a very simple. When the conditions of agreement is to be carried out, here we have to fully all the possibility of policies has to be ensured both from the host, that is a sender, and the receiver to ensure that the detailed possibilities are happening in the transmission level. After agreeing the each term, here we make a process authentication. Is a very important process authentication, in the sense the process which we run in the full duplex mode using what you call that the virtual circuit. Each process has to be ensured in a standardizing the transmission, so that the transmission has to be followed according to a standards which we ensure that data is reaching from the host to a destination and reciprocately from the destination to a host. Now there are another way of agreeing the terms. One is service agreement, another is packet accountability. One more important here is each packet which we send, it has to be created a flag that's we call as a check insurance or the checksum. These are the some details. There are the more n number of details can be ensured to identify and agreed that. After the agreeing an application notified of a connection, that we have to ensure that there is a tremendous scope for detailing about how the packets has to be transmitted in identifying the situational requirement. During the transfer, each ends communicated continuously to verify the data which we received is correct. In case there are the two possibility. Data, if we are not issuing, this means there is a possibility that there is a somewhere we are making a mistake. So here we have to ensure that what those mistakes can be rectified, and those mistakes can be ensured for continuous transmission, and any additional enforcers to be done to ensure all the transitivity can be corrective measures to be taken to data received correctly. Okay, another important possibility, when the data is not received properly, we have to take an audit trail to ensure that these data received at the destinations are not sufficient. We have to enforce some more number of guidelines or more number of policies to authenticate and get an acknowledgement that the packet is received at the destinations without any interruptions. These audit trailing methods have to be included in standardizing the procedures. During the transfer ends communication continuously to verify the data received correctly. This is what audit trail is very important. When done, ends tear down the connection to process to be authenticated. If a UDP is a regular, then the TCP is like a phone call. This means that if UDP is like a regular transaction methods, then user datagram protocol, then TCP is a phone call, where it ensures that carrier to be done on the basis of authenticating the process. Now we'll move on to provide the buffering and the flow control. I'll just spend some time in understanding what is the buffering. Buffering is nothing but creating a space of transaction as a backup process. So here, when you keep on sending a number of data packets on the flow of communication, and suddenly there is a completely traffic jam, we can call it jamming the process of a data packets, then these buffering will hold out till it clears all the complexities in the transmission. This is one of the standardization we need to include in the transmission process. Then it takes care of your lost packets. What do you mean by the lost packets? Lost packets are those packets in which that we lost in the transmission line, in which that we lost in the sending and receiving, or sometimes there is a duplication in the data packets that is been created, we can call as a duplication or redundancy, or maybe the long delays. So these are the some minor issues that we have to address in the process of handling, or continuous process of handling in the transmission control protocol. And it isolates the application program from the network details that ensures that all the transaction systems are in place to make all authentication to include These are things. And other important things here is segment and the TCP packet. I have already explained in a previous sessions of segment is a structured data when it is too complicated can be divided into the smaller packets is called a segment. And what is the use of a segment? When we understand that segment is a very important factorization, that the segment can console, and the segment can console that the all complexity data can also be transmitted, providing it has to be get segmented. But these segmented data carries the line of association. So here line of association in the sense header IP means header details have been shared among all the packets, so that while reassembling the data, it becomes a very simple and easy to understand. So TCP/IP pocket is another important here, as many of we know that the things will functions. The things will function when it identifies address of these things. Then the socket is equal to source, which is an address port, plus destination is an address port and other things. Okay, these are the simple feature in the transmission control protocol. We move on to another important here. Say there are the port 1, port 2 at the receiving end or maybe the transmitting end. Port 1 and port 2 on the UDP protocols, TCP/IP protocols, we have two ports. Now in the transport layer each port 1, port 2 creates simple transaction methods of acknowledging the things. And these acknowledging the things will ensure that the TCP/IP or the port 1, port 2 ensures the data transmission. And this data transmission, in other terms, TCP creates virtual segmentation if it is a data is a large in terms of a packet. Now in the network layer, what happens is created these port 1 and the port 2 will ensures how technically the process can be achieved. How technically the process can be achieved in the sense each process we ensures there is a changes that is been occurred in the process, and each port 1 port 2 under user datagram protocol will also ensures. But when we transmit from a TCP to UDP or UDP over an IP protocol, here further we have to reassemble. This reassemble we call as demultiplexing. And demultiplexing on a port number should also be happen. Demultiplexing on an IP protocol should also happen. So without the demultiplexing, that we cannot read the content which we are going to reassemble or reorganize the datagram or the data which we received. To different ID connection needs source. Of course, it's an address port, and the destination which has an address port as well as another data header details. And it ensures that only need one port on a host to allow the multiple connections, since each connections will have a different at another ends. But in a simple way, it has its own address mechanism to ensure the data transmission is happening seamlessly. Okay. Now this is one simple we call as a TCP providing reliability. What do you mean by TCP providing a reliability? So positive acknowledgement or the acknowledgement with transmission, it keeps record of in each packet which we send. In the TCP fractionality, one important thing is to ensure the data packet which we transmitted. Again, I am tracing why the transmission has to be audited. The reason here is when the transmission you ensure that audit has to be carried out or authentication to be carried out, or we need to record that how many number of data packet has to be transmitted. It is well defined process of mechanism that in place called positive acknowledgement, we call as an ACK, with the retransmission in case if the data packets are not received by the receiving options. If the sender keeps a record of each packet sent, this means that a sender is ensuring the accountability of how many data packets which we transmitted, how many data packets which we transmitted at the receiving end, and how many number of acknowledgement, called as a positive acknowledgement, that we received should be tallied. Say for example, 10 bytes of a data which we transmitted at the destination, the same 10 bytes of a data transmission has to be ensured in a transmission level. In case if the 10 minutes of 10 data packets is not ensuring the accountability, this means that somewhere that we lost, or somewhere that we are unable to find out where exactly the data packet has been lost. And these a sender awaits, and the sender starts a timer when it sends a packet. Now the sender side, we have a different sending packet 1, 2 and so on, and receiver side has a receiving packets with respect to time. These are the network messages that ensure the transaction is happening properly. When the sender packets 1, of course a received packet 1, when we received at the receiver side, we have to create an acknowledgement, send acknowledgement to a sender, received acknowledgement 1, that complete one cycle is over. Sender sent to a receiver and receiver received it, and again we got an acknowledgement. This means that the packet we ensures for transmission has happened. So this is a simple way to address different mechanism of authentication. Similarly, you can send an n number of packets, and all those n number of packet has to be create an acknowledgement, or we can call as a positive acknowledgement in the terms of sending and receiving trails, right? So we move on to the next important discussion here is how simple lost packet to be recovered. See here the sender side, send a packet 1, start a timer at the what time, this is called the live time. Receiver side, a packet should arrive, but packet is not arrived. Here when the packet is not arrived, this means that data lost in the transition, and the last data packet should also be created as an acknowledgement, thinking the sender has to get acknowledged that this particular data packet is not received. So once the acknowledgement normally arrives, the timer expires, and this timer has to be ensured the last packet. There are the two tracing point. One is why the timer is expired. The reason is we always say how much of data that we are transmitting, have a general transmission idea, and this transmission idea has to be acknowledged, estimated well in hand. If that is not there, this means that somewhere this particular trailing is not happening here. So anyhow, when we come to know that there is a particular data packet is been lost, so there are the two alternatives. Either we can retransmit, there is one option, but retransmission at the receiving end to acknowledge it all and reassemble it again at times, or else we create a mechanism to push back. This means that the moment when it realizes that this particular data is not received, then automatically it has to be retransmitted without wait time. This is called delay can be avoided. Delay can be avoided at the receiving side. Now the hosting side has to be responsible for the delay, or sometimes the receiving side is not creating any of the acknowledgement. This means that it is a responsibility of a receiver side that has to be get acknowledged. Okay, so this is a simple mechanism that we have to ensure in a TCP simple last packet recovery system. Okay, this is one of the simple representation how the TCP improving performance. That the simple acknowledgement protocol waste the bandwidth when it must delay sending a next packet until it gets an acknowledgement. Use a sliding window, that is to shift the number of packets to read, packets successfully sent and packets to be sent, or packets which are not to be sent, even the packets sent but not received. So these are we called as a use a sliding window to initiate. This is called shift methods in the process of transmission audit trail. And sender can send 4 packets of a data at a time without acknowledgement. Okay, without expecting an acknowledgement. Now this mechanism will further ensures how the data has to be taken care of in auditing the trails, right? So now when a sender gets an acknowledgement, then it can send another packet. So in window, it acknowledges packets and the bytes can be taken, be called as an assisting methods. Assisting methods in the sense, it is a pre-process mechanism to ensure that the data which we are trying to send has to be get acknowledged. If the data is not acknowledging, this means that the process has not ensures the data transmission trails in a proper way, right? So this is one of the important to improve the TCP performance in a longer term. So turning to fill the pipe. Optimal window sizes depends on what is a bandwidth end to end. That is we have to specify the minimum bandwidth in terms of packet acknowledgement. Our acknowledgement bottleneck bandwidth has to be this thing. This is a round trip time. This is called an RTT. When the data packets travels from one place to another and get back to an acknowledgement. So this mechanism we called is a round trip time. This round trip time ensures that 2 important techniques. One is authenticated transmission. Second one is auto generation of acknowledgement. When auto generation of acknowledgement is been done, it also records a time taken to complete from hosting site to a receiving site, and vice versa, receiving site to host site. So this process is called a round trip time. In a round trip time, there are the many n number of a process to be followed. So that we can call as an implementation phase of RTT in a TCP. Okay, well, we are not going in detail about how this RTTP is to be measured and what are the implementation phase of TCP/IP to create an audit trails, right? For the TCP keep pipe full, what do you mean by the pipe full? In the sense, when the data packets which we are trying to send should be ensured in the longer range. So window sometimes called a pipe. So round trip time, when you multiply with the bandwidth, gives you an idea about how much window that you can create. And it can increase the bandwidth by orders of magnitude when small amount of data packets are there, we can resend it. Window is also used for the flow control in the transmission line. Okay. Next is SRC to the receiving and vice versa. From SRC will T is equal to bits in packet per link speed has to be measured, and this is an acknowledgement. Here T is equal to total number of bits in packet which creates a link speed, right? So this is an RTT. So that is a time taken to complete round trip time. RTT ensures and creates an acknowledgement, right? This is a, and we move on to the next important discussion is implementation. So implementation, see, as I said, that sliding window or the window will create to scan how many number of data packets which we are in the pipe to transmit. This is called in transit. These number of data packets which we are trying to send it to ensure that how many number data packets are followed in the flow. So here I'll just represent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and so on. And highest byte that can be sent, highest byte sent, bytes sent and acknowledged. These are three important pointers that your sliding window measures. So I'll repeat once again, highest byte that can be sent out of all the data packets. Okay. And highest by sent is already achieved. Byte sent and acknowledged, how many total number of bytes which we transmitted and received acknowledgement. These are the 3 pointers in the process of sliding window ensures in the implementation phase. And a sliding window operates at byte level, not from the packet level. So it is a bottom line of transaction system. And this receiver keeps a similar window to put stream back together to ensure the stream of data transmission in a longer time. Since a full duplex is happening altogether, 4 windows and a pointer sets are to be implemented technically. What is a TCP flow control? In a TCP flow control, windows vary over a time, because if you have a longer byte structures, or if you have the segmented data byte structure, either the long or the short, your window has automatic control of resizing it. As it receives an advertiser, how many it can review based on a buffers etc. is available, and sender adjusts the window to match the advertisement. If a receiver buffers will send successfully, if a receiver buffers fill it sends smaller adverts, then it has to be recorded. Used to match the buffer requirements of a receiver. Also used to address the congestion control, that is the intermediate routers to transmit. Okay. These are the few parameters we ensures in the TCP flow control. This is a TCP segment format. Why I am explaining you this particularly a TCP segment format? The reason here is, if you look into the source port and the destination port, it has always generates an automatic sequence number. And this sequence number has to be get acknowledged in the form of acknowledgement number. Of course, in a checksum and urgent pointer, we have a same set of parameters called the h length. Reserve the code. So checksum ensures the window and urgent pointer. Options if any, and a padding in case if it requires. Otherwise, creates an hopping for transmission. And this is a simple way of data segmentation format. And before we set in this, there is one more thing is, in case if you want to include any additional data as in edit tray, then it is necessary to include those data in the TCP segment format called an optional data. So this is a DCP segment format. Acknowledgement identifies a number of byte the sender of this segment expects to receive the next. H length specify the length of segment header, we call it as a header length in a 32-bit multiples. If there are no options, then the H length is equal to 5, that is a 20 bytes. Because each is a 4 byte of a data structure, then it is totaling to 20 bytes. And reserve for future, we use a set to 0. Code used to determine the segment purpose of sync, acknowledging, then first in this thing URG, and many more such examples over here. TCP segment format window. The sliding window is nothing but a window. It advertises how much data this station is willing to accept, can depend on the buffer space remaining. It's called the restructuring or the window structuring. Right? Next is a checksum, verifies the integrity of a TCP header and the data. It is a mandatory to ensure. Urgent pointer used, URG option used for window escalating, SAC, timestamp, maximum segment, etc. Okay. We move on to another important theory is a TCP timeout. First, I would like to say what is a timeout. Timeout is nothing but ensures a time. If it goes beyond that, at the time allotted to create around time, that is an RTT, then in case if it is exceeds, then automatically we specify as a TCP timeout. It needs a timeout estimate that will work for local area network. And RTT should ensure that how much particular milliseconds to satellite, that is a wide area networks in hundreds of. Then RTT can vary a lot with the time of day of week, or 1 second or the next. So here TCP records a time segment sent and the time acknowledgement received. That calculates the RTT sample with respect to time of the day in which RTT is recorded. Smooth and used to estimate a timeout, that is a simple example of it. And it needs to take account of losses, new timeout and other things, right? So this is just a graphical representation which we have represented. This is RTT slack to place. Okay. Now this is another important TCP connection establishment. Active from the site 1, send a sync active, window sliding, say received, segment, send an acknowledgement. This process. Initially it sequences a number that is in the form of XY are chosen randomly and guarantees both the sides ready and no. If it sends the initial sequences, number also sets a window and other. Once connection is established, the data can flow in both the directions equally. Well, there is no master of a slave that has to be carried out. Okay. So this is a TCP close connections between a sender side to a receiver side. Again here send sequences received and get acknowledged, modified a three-way handshaking, that is a for any four-way terminator. App tells a TCP to close, TCP sends remaining data and waits for acknowledgement, which sends with an FIN. Side 2 and side 2 sends a TCP. Side 2 sends an FIN when its app closes connection, maybe a long or another things are there. Okay. This is an end of this particular session. I hope I have discussed. But detailed technicalities, when you understand, there's a lot more things to be studied in the TCP structure is concerned. You just find out another way of implementation in the TCP configuration in a real time of application. So we will see in the next session. Till then, have a good time. So please keep reading and keep watching LMS content regularly. Thank you.